Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Tiffany, a retired librarian turned homeschool mom. And in this video, we're going to be finally done with this. This is the Last Apprentice, Fury of the Seventh Son. This is the last of the book series. These are really, really dark horror, so this is not my taste. These are very, very good books. They're very good books. They are just not my taste. I am not a horror person. I do not like that side of Halloween. Yes, this is being filmed on Halloween. This is 10/30. I'm filming this on 10/31 of 2001. So hopefully my husband's handling the trick-or-treaters tonight. So hopefully nothing goes wrong. But if you hear a doorbell in the background, that's why. So let's go over this book. So Alice has come back. She's handed Tom the dagger. He's the spook. And they go, things are kind of start off really quiet. They go deal with a man who's claiming his neighbor is a witch. Turned out she's just his ex-wife. That's a normal thing. Then it just goes dark. And things go crazy fast. So they get alerted by the Bogart. They show up. Alice is gone. The book that they were using that I cannot pronounce, essentially a doomsday book, are gone. The Grimkins wounded and in basically really crappy shape. And there's a whole bunch of dead witches everywhere. So what the heck happened? So the Grimkins explains this. They opened up the book before to do the incantation, and the wizard who wrote it shows up, takes Alice and vamooses. So yeah, that happens. And she gives Tom a blade, a sword she forged out of a meteorite, and she essentially enchanted it. So as long as Tom is holding it, no magic can touch him. That becomes important later. Then you go through a whole bunch of battles. There's a lot of death. There's a whole big war going on here. Accumulates partially to Tom. Alice has the head of the Fiend. They put the Fiend back together. He gets to the Fiend and cuts him into tiny little pieces. Because again, they're at this Wardstone, which is a hill and a stone in the county that can kind of move through time and slow time. So Tom's able to slow time. He cuts the Fiend to tiny little pieces. And this is the thing where things kind of get bad and where there's a setup for another book series. So yeah. And no, I'm probably not going to cover that because these things are really, really dark. We'll see. So the spider thingy showed up that Alice had interacted with. They've interacted with before. They take all the pieces and they feed it to the gods of the creatures in Slither. So now this god's going to arise and these 8 monsters are going to come south. So that's the setup for the next book. Then the next thing happens is Tom gets in a fight with this wizard. And he forces him, because the sword will not prevent him from using magic against Tom. They have to do it sword by sword. And with the training of the Grimalkin and his master, Jonathan Gregory, he's able to defeat him. He doesn't kill him. Alice stops him from killing him. He tells her, it's like, why? Why should I listen to you? You betrayed me. You brought the Fiend back. You kissed this other guy. You pretty much betrayed the king. I shouldn't have trusted you. But she's like, you may need him in the future. And then he remembers something his father told him, which was, don't knock a man when he's down. And he remembers this tale of how this neighbor had kept grazing his cattle on their property. His father finally went to the courts. The courts said, okay, you can have some of his cows, and he can't do this anymore. Father doesn't take the cows. And he basically says, the man's already down. He might become a good neighbor, which he does. He becomes a good neighbor later. So Tom takes that to heart and doesn't kill this guy. He tells Alice, if I ever see you again, I will kill you and put you in a pit. So go away. And she's like, we'll meet again. And she said, and you won't be putting me in a pit. So he goes back. Gregory's dead. His brother he had recruited to help survives, as does the other spook friend of theirs, though the dog Claw from previous books was killed. And he feels very, very guilty. Not Tom, the other guy who had taken the animals. So He shouldn't have brought them into battle. But the Gremlin says, keep the sword. And Tom says, I'm not going to use it again. I've killed so much. I'm sick of killing. So he decides to bury it underneath his master's coffin in the garden. So it's like he would never disrupt his master's final resting place. He's not going to use this. He's going to go back to being the county spook. And the Gremlin said, we will fight together again. Because again, you're setting up the whole, hi, these monster things are going to come south. And I think she does in fact tell him that. So it's like, if they come south, we will battle. And he's like, yeah, we'll work together. And that's pretty much what the Gremlin is going to be doing. So that's pretty much the end of this book. Tom is going back to being a county spook, which is what he wants to do. And things have calmed down. So that is the end of this book and the end of this review and the end of this book series. Thank God. These are really, really good books if you like dark. If you love the horror genre, if your kids love the horror genre, these are phenomenal books. They're really, really well done. I just don't happen to like that genre. These got far darker than what I thought they were going to be when I started these videos. But I got through them anyway. I admit I skimmed these, so I'm skipping over details. That's the reason these videos are kind of short, because I was struggling through them. They are far too dark for my taste. They're still fantastic books. Youngest, late middle school, depending on reading level. Normally, late elementary is the youngest I would go. Middle school, high school are definitely geared toward this book, because Tom turns about 16 at the end of these books. So, again, they're very, very good, but they're very, very dark. So, when it comes to reading to kids, it's really up to parents. If you would read your kids Stephen King, these will be fine. I'll say it that way. If they like the dark and the horror and the gore and just the real intense detail of blood and gore and monsters and monsters and more monsters and that type of suspense, these are fantastic. They probably make great audiobooks. And they're great books. I just don't like horror. So I don't like horror. So I think there's at least maybe a short story book and a just kind of a companion book to these that I may review. But this is the end of the book series, and I'm happy to be done with these things. So, though I will, as of this video, I still have to review Slither, which is book 9, but I'm waiting for my library to get it to me. They had to order it. So this is the second to last video in how I'm recording them, just so you are aware. But I will be very, very happy when I'm able to finish all that up. But I still highly recommend this book series, so I will link them as I do with all the books. So that's the end of this review, and officially the end of the Last Apprentice series by Joseph Delaney. So if you like what you see, be sure to check out the rest of my channel. Most of it's lighter than this. Really, I cover children's picture books. The next major series I'm covering, because it's part of this book and trying to do a brain cleanse, is The Princess Diaries. Absolute, utter romance fluff. I admit they're romance fluff. I do not hide this. That will be coming in January. I'm doing some other stuff. So be sure to like and subscribe. Check out a whole bunch of previous videos. I have more planned. So be sure to like, and again, like and subscribe. Thank you.